If you're thinking about creating and selling your own online courses, then Teachable is one of the best course creation platforms out there. And in this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through the course building process step by step so you can see exactly how it works and decide if Teachable is the right tool for you. Hey, I'm Melissa, and welcome back to Wit and Wire, where we help creators turn their skills and passions into profitable online businesses. In case you're new to Wit and Wire, I actually used to work for Teachable full-time for 4 years as the Director of Marketing Engagement, and today I use it as the course creation platform for all of my own online courses. I think there are tons of great tools on the market. Teachable is one of many, but I can't wait to bring you behind the scenes, show you how the features work, and offer some pros and cons comparing Teachable to some of its direct competitors. First, what is Teachable? Teachable is a course creation platform where you can drag and drop in your own videos and PDFs to create a complete course experience for your students. Teachable also offers sales pages and checkout pages, so it can create the product itself and offer you the tools to actually sell it. Before we start the tutorial, I want to offer a brief tip on the difference between course platforms like Teachable and course marketplaces like Udemy or Skillshare. On the marketplace side, you would have the ability to contribute a course to that website, but if a student were to make a purchase, it belongs to that business and you may be paid a small commission. On top of that, those buyers belong to the other company. They're not yours, you cannot market directly to them. So in this case, we're talking about a course creation platform where you create the product, you sell it and retain the revenue minus some very small processing fees. And if you are an online business owner trying to scale a meaningful revenue channel for your business, then it's going to be the course creation platform side that I would recommend for you. With that in mind, let's get started. Up first, you'll start by creating your Teachable account. So if you visit witandwire.com/teachable, you can get started for free. Teachable does have a free plan, and as you can see on this plan comparison, you can create one course on the free plan, and you can enroll an unlimited number of students. I recommend starting on the free plan. You can test it out and see how you like it. Over time, you might choose to upgrade, and I think the basic plan is a great choice for most course creators because you do unlock some additional features. As you can see here, the main difference I think between basic and pro is the transaction fee. So if you start selling at a certain volume, it might make sense to upgrade. And then of course, it's up to you to decide which core features you need. All of the paid plans include core features like having a custom domain, integrations, and unlimited students. But as you can see scrolling down, there are some additional affiliate marketing and reporting features that I really like on the pro plan. So it's completely up to you. But we are going to select free to get started. On the next page, you'll be prompted to share your full name, email address, and password. And once you agree to the terms, you'll be able to create your new account. This brings you into the onboarding flow. It's up to you if you decide to answer these questions, or you can go ahead and click next. From there, you'll see your new Teachable account. So to get started, let's do a quick tour of the Teachable admin dashboard. In the main part of the screen here on the right, you'll see Teachable's Get Started screen. You can access this anytime by clicking Get Started on the top left, and you'll have this available to you until your school is published. And you can see they recommend different steps to get started, and we're going to cover the highlights in this tutorial. Also along the left, you'll see the main pages of your admin dashboard on the top. And then in the product section, this is where you're going to add the courses or even coaching and digital download products that you would like to sell. We're going to start on the top just to kind of walk through each of these one by one. The dashboard will show your future analytics, like how many students have joined or your sales over time. Users will track all of the people associated with your school, whether that's you, the admin, or your enrolled students. Site, we're going to click shortly. This shows the branding of your site, and you can make decisions about the look and feel of your account, which is also called a school. Then we have sales. This is a database of all of the transactions for both paid and free enrollments in your school. Emails will help you modify the transactional emails sent out to your students. And settings controls the overall account, including your billing information and your tax details. To start off, let's click on the settings menu, and you'll notice now all of the initial menu icons have been minimized to the left. And if you hover over the icons, you can see the main menus. But here you can see a very small word, settings, at the top. This tells us that we are now looking at the sub menu for the settings part of your admin dashboard. So to recap, we have the main menu items with the icons, and each one has a unique sub-menu of different settings you can modify. The first thing we want to update is your school name. This should typically match the name of your business, so you can click Edit and change this from the default given to you by usually using your name to the name of your business. You might also want to change the email sender name. That's what students will see on their transaction receipts. So I'm actually going to change this to Wit and Wire students, or you could do something like Wit and Wire support. I think I like that a bit better. And you would add your business name, same as your school name, or for mine, I could have done the more official Wit and Wire LLC and add your mailing address for tax reporting purposes. I don't think most of you will need to change any of the security settings on this page, but you'll also notice there is a Publish School button on the top right. What this does is it takes your account online, which means that if a student were to visit the URL for your Teachable school, they would see it. But right now, just getting started, all they're going to see is a coming soon screen. So you'll just want to make sure that you come back and click publish before you go live. But honestly, you could do it right now if you wanted, because students won't be able to find your school unless you send it to them. It's just like when you publish a real website, it's not immediately going to alert the whole internet. So you could absolutely click publish right now if you want. But for our tutorial, we'll come back here in the end to click publish school. For now, once we have our basic settings in place, I'm going to head over to the Site tab. Now to get here, if I head back to the Getting Started menu, you'll notice Teachable will guide you through these in their onboarding flow as well. But we're going to head over to Site, and now we're looking at the Site sub-menu. So all of these words are different from the Settings sub-menu. And if you ever find yourself getting lost, you can click back to Get Started or the dashboard. That'll bring up the main menus here, and then you can figure out where to go. So we're going to head back to Site, and now we're going to make some branding decisions here at the top. So you'll notice Teachable is recommending the exact file size for each of these three. The logo is going to be the main word or stylistic choice for your business. So I would upload my Wit and Wire logo here. But in case you don't have one, you can also leave it blank and it will just type the words in the top left corner. So I'm actually going to leave that blank for now just to show you what it looks like. The school thumbnail is something that probably will only be seen by you. So I am going to skip this, or you could put a stock image here. The reason why I'm saying you can skip it is because this is related to a slightly outdated feature of Teachable called My Teachable, where students could log in and see all of these schools where they have courses enrolled in one place. But odds are high that your students are not using this feature because it's slowly being phased out. So you can skip this. And then the third one is the favicon. You can see in the top, there's this small green T. That is the favicon for this page. And by default, it'll be the Teachable T. But if you upload your own, you can have a small icon that represents your business, which can help your students recognize it in browsers. So this is a very, very small image. And if you want it to look like this Teachable T with the green circle, you want to make sure it has a transparent background. Otherwise, it might look like a little graphic with a white square behind it, if that makes sense. Scrolling down, obviously, you could only remove Teachable branding if you do want to upgrade, as they are telling you here. So we'll leave it on for now and move into fonts and styling. Here you'll have the choice of one of the fonts in Teachable's menu. And unless you are very comfortable with coding and want to upgrade to I believe the Pro plan, then these are your limited options. So I would just go with the choice that most closely matches your branding. For now, I'm going to choose Lato and then click Save. And then on the bottom, there are a few initial preset color palettes, or you can see all of the main colors to choose from here at the bottom. What you might notice is the fact that most of these are versions of black and white with the one main color here. And I would recommend really only choosing a color for the nav bar and the button links because I think it's simpler. The rest just kind of match. So if you have a dark nav bar, you would want a white link. If you have a very light color, you might want to change these three to be dark. So just for an example, let me change the nav bar to a different color. You can either click on the color itself or just go ahead and type in your known hex code here. And then for ease, let me just do a different color so we can spot the difference with the buttons and the links, and I'll click Save. And then on the top, there's a preview button. So let's see how this looks in a new tab. Here is the blue nav bar. That's the color we changed. And you can see if I had chosen a lighter color, I would have wanted to turn the white navigation bar links here to be black so that they popped a little bit more. You just want to make sure it's legible. It also changes the footer at the bottom. And here you can see the slightly pink orange color here is the button color. So all of the buttons and links throughout your entire Teachable site will all be the same color. Heading back over to the admin side, now that we've set the branding, you'll obviously notice you can come back in here and change any of this at any time. But we're going to move on to the next piece, which is adding a custom domain. In the site menu, there is a sub menu called domains. And you'll notice this is a paid feature. You must upgrade if you want a custom domain. But I want to briefly share the difference between a Teachable domain and a custom domain. So by default, your Teachable account comes with a free Teachable domain. It's right here. You can see right now they've used my name to just generate an automatic domain name. And then the root domain is teachable.com. If you didn't like this, like I don't think this is very easy to read or say, I would add a new domain. And you could choose any phrase here, like Melissa Awesome School. This is not the best domain. More likely, I would have done something like Wit and Wire, not .com. This is just it's called the subdomain. So witandwire.teachable.com could be the example here. But since we're doing a demo, I will click Add Domain. And now on the right, I would make this the primary domain for my account. What this does is this tells me this is the main domain that I would be using to tell people how to access my Teachable school. For my own business though, for Wit and Wire, I use what's called a custom domain. So instead of using a teachable.com domain, I use a witandwire.com domain. And you can access my Teachable courses at courses.witandwire.com. The first word courses I chose. That's called the subdomain. So if you want, it is, I think, a good branding decision, but it also is related to SEO. If you want to get more in depth though, we can cover that in a separate video. For now, I'll leave a link in the description to learn more about custom domains with Teachable, and you do need to be on the basic plan or higher to add a custom domain to your school. Moving on, there are a few other noteworthy tabs in the site settings. Under navigation, you can decide what a logged out or logged in student sees. So typically a logged out student would see your Teachable homepage, and a logged in student would see what's called the course directory, which shows all of their courses that they are enrolled in. And I'm not going to get too in depth into editing any of this, but you could change what's included in your navigation bar here along the top or in the footer in the bottom. Moving over to coupons, to me that's a bit more related to products, but as you can see, you can add coupons for a specific course or your entire school if you are on any paid plan, basic or up. You'll also want to come in here and add a bio. So when students enroll in a course, they'll be able to see the bio for you, the instructor, along the side. So by default, they add you, the admin, as the first bio. And if you click the edit icon, you can add an image, usually your headshot, and your brief bio here. So I'm just going to take a quick minute to fill this out. All right, now that I have my bio, we'll click save. And now I could assign the bio of Melissa Guller to any of the courses as the instructor. You'll also see along the left, I want to focus on the pages section. Here is a quick note about pages in Teachable. There are some pages that are called school pages. You'll notice that there are two different tabs, school pages and product pages. So school pages are kind of like the overall business pages. They are things like terms of use or privacy policy, which apply to your full business, and you can click edit if you would prefer to replace the canned templates with your own personal terms and privacy policy. Or you'll see on the bottom, we have the home page. So these are the public-facing pages, and for most course creators using Teachable, the home page is really the only one that you'll need to worry about. So I'm going to click edit in a second, but you'll also notice over here, we have something called product pages. Now we haven't created a product yet. We're going to add a course shortly, but you could come here to edit the pages of individual products, the individual sales pages of individual courses, let's say. But for now, the main page we're going to start with is this homepage. So let's click edit, and this will not only help us edit the homepage of your school, but it also introduces us to Teachable's page builder. As you can see on the left, there are blocks used to build pages in Teachable. And by default, they have this template of a set series of blocks that they recommend. Now, depending on how you use Teachable, there are two ways you might want to use this homepage. The simple way, which is actually what I do for my business, is that I only have the banner block on the homepage of my own school. And to show you what I mean, let me pull it up. This is the active homepage for courses.witandwire.com, which is my Teachable school for my business. And as you can see, the homepage is just one block, and the purpose of the homepage is to encourage students to log back in. Now, the reason why this works for me is because I have a full website for my business that lives at witandwire.com. That's where you see my proper homepage, about page, and more information about all of my courses. And then over here, the way that I use Teachable is as the product delivery for all of those courses. So because only students are accessing this hub, I don't need a full marketing page here with more details. If I wanted to, I certainly could make it longer, but this is the simple strategy that worked for me that you can absolutely feel free to borrow. Heading back into the editor, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to edit a few of these blocks so that you can build a page that suits your business, but then I'm primarily going to edit the banner block to make it match Wit and Wires. So if you click into, let's say, a text block, you can see along the left, you can edit the text and use these tools, but you can also click over to the Design tab. So for any block, there's Content, what goes in the block, and then Design, which dictates things like the background color or the text color or even the padding. And if you increase this, you'll notice right now, if I were to make the content width wider, you see how it elongates it. So you can choose the different settings based on what you're doing. And heading back, you can add new blocks at the bottom from this list or edit what they've already given you. Now, you can also see if I click into a different block, like banner, the settings in both the content and the design tab are different. So if you're ever feeling like you're not quite oriented in the page editor, you can click this back button until you see all of the page blocks, and then either click on the name or click an individual block to open up that block's editor. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to go with the simplest version, and I will make an overall recommendation for you, which is that especially when you're just getting started, I would remove the featured products block because right now you don't have any courses. And I would guess it's most likely that when you're getting started, you're only going to have one course until potentially the future when you add more. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this block because I don't have 3 courses. It doesn't quite make sense yet. And then it's up to you if you keep this email leads form. Most likely, unless you want emails to live in your Teachable account, you would be using what's called an email service provider to actually send marketing emails for your business, which is slightly a tangent for today's topic. For now, though, what I'm going to recommend is that unless you intentionally want this page to be about email capture, I would probably remove this in favor of maybe even a button to learn more about the course that we're about to build, or like I said, I really just use the banner. So I'm going to delete these additional blocks. And then what I would do after I deleted these blocks, keeping in mind you can add new blocks back in at any time, I would head in here, I would replace the camera image, and then just as I have in Wit and Wire School, I really just keep it kind of broad about making this the student hub. And what I do on the bottom is I show the button, and that's how you can get the link to the login page. So on the design tab, if you wanted, you could change the button radius. The radius is how rounded it is. So if a more squared look felt right for you, you would lower the number. But remember, the button for your entire school and all links are just one color. So you set that previously in your site settings if you're curious why you can't do that here. Now, I think I've given enough information for you to be able to customize this page. The last step would be to click Publish. And of course, you could click Preview. I think of the word publish almost as like the save button in this case because the page is already activated. But let's head back a couple of times into our dashboard and move on to the next step. And that next step is the most important one. It is adding a course to your Teachable school. To do that, we're going to click the courses icon, which looks like a series of books. And if you were still on the Getting Started screen, you can click courses here on the left. The first step is to add a new course. So I'm going to click New Course, and then you'll be prompted to give it a name. I want to reassure you, you can change this later. So I'm going to build a course called Profitable Course Blueprint, and you are the author. That's the bio we created earlier. So I'm going to click Continue. Great, our course has been created, and we're going to continue into the editing flow. Now, because this is a whole new screen with a ton of new menu options, I'm going to backtrack to show you how we got here. So from the Getting Started screen, if you go into Courses, now that brand new course we created is listed here at the top. And when you click into an individual course, it opens up what's called the Course submenu on the left. So instead of starting with the Curriculum tab, which happens to be the preview that we saw before, I'm going to go from the top and just cover the essentials. So under Information, this is where you can upload what's called a course image. This is the rectangular thumbnail that represents your course when students log in. So I'm going to use a stock image, but you can feel free to use a custom design if that suits you. So I'm going to click Upload, and I'm going to find the image on my computer, but you'll notice you can link to any of these other sources. I happen to just have it right off screen. So I'm going to just drag and drop in this test image and click Upload. It takes just a second, and now you can see it's included here. And before I uploaded the image, you may have noticed it recommended the exact size of the image to use. Now, scrolling down, you can change the course title here at any time, and I think you can leave the subtitle and categories blank. The use case for categories is if you have many courses, if you wanted your students to be able to filter through them in their own course hub. But for now, we only have one course, so I don't think this is super crucial. You could also change the author, and you have some course compliance options on paid plans. These control how students go through the curriculum. So if it's important to you to enforce that students either go through the lessons in order or that they finish watching videos, then it might make sense for you to upgrade to the Pro plan to enable these options. Now, scrolling down further, you might also decide that after students purchase, imagine that they're on a checkout page. The following page is usually a thank you page. But if you wanted, you could change it just to send them right into the enrolled curriculum. It is completely up to you. I'm going to show you how to edit the thank you page coming up, but as a spoiler, it's under pages on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and click save and move on to that tab, the pages tab. Now you watched as we went through the homepage editing process. Now the pages that we're looking at are all about one individual course. So all of these pages are related to the Profitable Course Blueprint. Here we have the sales page, and if you click edit, this will open up the sales page for this course. Similar to the homepage, it is a block builder. You click on a block, it opens up the settings, and you can tab over to design or head back to change the page blocks. You can add new ones, change the order. So this is completely up to you if you want to modify this page and use it as the sales page for your course. I know that might sound obvious. Of course, you would use this page. But what some course creators do, like me, is I actually build my sales pages on my website, my primary website. And then what I do from that page is I link directly to, bringing back up this page, the checkout page. So let me click edit on the checkout page. Unlike the sales page, which shares information about the course, the checkout page is the place where students actually edit their credit card information and then click submit to complete the purchase. And because I didn't add a pricing plan yet, that's why we've ended up on a new page. So let me backtrack. We were under pages before. I clicked edit, but we're going to come back to this. For now, I'll just point out this is the thank you page. If you wanted to edit this, you could do so here. But I'll skip ahead to where this button sent me. So a few tabs down, there is a tab called pricing. When you create a course, it can have one or multiple price points. And the best example would be a course that has a full price, let's say $500, and then maybe a payment plan of 2 payments of $250. So I'm going to show you how to create a pricing plan. You'll click add pricing plan here and have the option to create a free course, no payment required, a one-time purchase, which is pay in full. You can create a payment plan, which is a fixed number of payments. So it would end after the set number. For example, 2 payments of $250. After those 2 payments, the term would be up. And then we have a subscription. This is more like a membership where students will continue paying until they cancel. So for courses, typically, it's going to be a one-time purchase or a payment plan. So let's add a one-time purchase. Maybe let's do, for this course, it's $100. And for the name of the pricing plan, I usually do one-time payment. So to be clear, this is the name of the price point, not the name of the course itself. You shouldn't really need to add a subtitle or description, but you can edit them later. The only part that you can't edit is the actual price itself after you add it, but you can add different price points, and I'll show you what that means. Enrollment caps are on paid plans on Teachable. This says after 10 students join, it would be closed. On the other hand, limited product access refers to how long students get access. For most courses, I do recommend lifetime access. That's a standard in our industry. But for some of you, it might make sense to limit access for a few months or a year, completely up to you. But I typically leave these both toggled off, and I will click add pricing plan. Now you can see the plan is here. You could come back and edit this, but you can only edit the text details. You can't actually edit the price point. But if you needed to change a price in the future, you can delete it. That puts it into an archived section, and you'll see the archived prices here, and you can always restore a plan or add a new one at any time. So here we are back in the active prices. If I wanted, I could add another plan, maybe a payment plan. I would say you probably don't need to do it for this price point, but just to show you how it works, maybe 2 payments of $50, and I would call this a 2-month payment plan and click add. If you click copy URL, that would put the direct link to the checkout page on your clipboard. So I mentioned before, if you did want to use your own sales page from your website like Squarespace or WordPress, or even a page builder like Lead Pages, you would direct the CTA buttons on that page to this URL. If that feels too techy or advanced, no worries, just stick with Teachable's sales page to Teachable's checkout page. But if you have more questions about that, leave me a comment. And by the way, if you are getting value out of this video so far, give it a thumbs up, and that'll help me know that you are enjoying the content. So with that in mind, let's move on technically backwards to the pages section, because now that you've added price points, you could edit the checkout page. There's not a ton to customize, but you can see you can add testimonials. This is what it would look like along the side, where you could have 1 or 2 testimonials with or without photos. And you could also add a few bullet points and a satisfaction guarantee. It's up to you if you include one, but for all of these pieces, they add proof and help give validity to your offer. So I personally am a fan of using all 3 of these for your course. And once you add these, you would click publish to save the changes. So it's time to add curriculum like videos and PDFs to create our online course. Up first, you'll notice by default, you have 1 section and 1 lecture already created. Those are Teachable's terms for a section, which is a group, and a lesson, which is an individual piece of content. So I can click add new lecture, and this would add a second lesson, probably a real name though. So let me go ahead and call this brainstorm course outcome. And maybe for now, I want to rename this one. And to do that, you can click on the menu along the side. So I'm going to click more options and rename this. And I'm going to call this the bridge theory, which is the name of the first lesson in the section we're going to create. And maybe let's rename this section to be concept. And I do like to do all caps for the section titles just for organization, but that's completely your call. If you wanted to build out your full course, you would add a new section. So maybe our next one might be called planning, and I'll click save. And then in the planning section, you could go ahead and add a few more lessons, which I will just tentatively call lesson 1, lesson 2, and creatively lesson 3. Now, of course, what I really want to show you is how to add content to these lessons. So I'm going to open up the bridge theory lesson and click edit lecture. This brings us into Teachable's lecture editor. And along the side, you can see different blocks that you can add. So just like page editing, Teachable's individual lessons are a series of blocks stacked on top of each other. And I would say the most common first block to start with is often a video. So I could either click add video and then drop it here, or if I click cancel, you could just drag it directly on top. So I have one off to the side. It's just from a folder on my computer. And this will take a few minutes to upload. You can see if I were to click preview right now, that would show me what this lesson will look like. But if I do that, the video is still processing. It often takes about the length of the video, a bit shorter, but it totally depends. So we'll head back here and preview that in a bit. What I also want to share is that you can add additional blocks as well. So what I often do is I might add text below the video. So maybe I would say that the assignment is to do a workbook exercise, and maybe it's called the bridge theory in the workbook. And you can use this toolbar to bold things. You could add hyperlinks. You can do quite a bit. So let me just move this and click add text. Now when we click preview, you can see it just puts the text directly below the lesson. Now at this point, you might be wondering, well, why don't I see anything on the left? This is where the outline should go. And the reason why is because none of these lessons are published. So if you wanted to take this live, you would click the publish button. And that means when I refresh the preview page, now we can see the lesson on the left. And as soon as a section has any published lecture, the section name will show up as well. Now heading back in here, a couple other noteworthy block types. You can add files like PDFs, or again, you can just drag and drop it here. So just as an example, I'm going to drag and drop in this PDF, and you'll notice on the right, it gives you a couple of different icons depending on the block type. So for a PDF, I usually recommend enabling download, and now they're both green. And depending on how you're using the PDF, you might want to keep embed on or turn it off. So let me show you by refreshing this. Here's what the embed looks like. I personally am a big fan of this feature. I really like that you can see the PDF in this embeddable window, and then at the bottom, your students could download it. But if you wanted, you could turn embed off. Maybe if you had like a series of PDFs, it might be overwhelming to see it. And now in this case, it makes it a little more concise, where they would download the PDF just by clicking this link. So completely up to you. Maybe we'll keep it on for now. You can also add short quizzes. They are only gradable if you are on a paid plan, but you can use them almost as more of a check for understanding on a free plan. You can also add a coding example. This is specifically if you're teaching about coding, but you can add what's called custom code, and that is a bit different. Custom code means that you can embed something within your curriculum. So you could embed a form, a calendar. The opportunities are endless. So this could be something that suits your course. You could also embed videos if you were hosting them elsewhere. Teachable obviously can host videos for you, but there are a ton of different options. So it's good to know about this block. Finally, we have upsells. This is only on paid features, but if you wanted, you could upsell your students into other offers. And I think a good example might be an upsell into a one-on-one coaching session or a related product. Now that we've gone through the individual blocks, I'm going to head back to the lecture editor. So here we are in the main lecture we saw before. And what you'll notice is now the bridge theory is checked green because we hit the publish button. So you can come in here and click publish if you wanted the rest of these lessons to be live. But what you might also notice is that you have the opportunity to unpublish lectures or keep them unpublished while you're working. And I think this is a great feature within Teachable. It gives you the opportunity to work behind the scenes and only hit publish once it's ready to show students. So if I were to click preview, you can see we have one section with 2 lessons. We have the main graphic for the course. We have the bio, and we have your student's progress meter. And then if I were to click in here, we can see the video has finished processing. And now you can see all of the icons where students can hit play. They can change the speed. They can also decide if they want to increase the watch speed or make it full screen. So once your video is uploaded, it does give quite a few options along the bottom. Now let's head back into the admin section. So now we've covered how to add an individual lesson, and we've talked about how to add sections, how to publish individual lectures, and then under the more options menu, you can see that you can rename lectures or duplicate them or even delete them. There is a paid feature which is pretty nice. It's called bulk upload. So if you clicked bulk upload, what you could do is import, let's say, a whole section of videos at one time, and then go in and modify. So it is a bit time saving, but of course it's a paid feature. So if you are on a paid plan, you could try that out. If you're on a free plan like me, you could add individual new sections here at the bottom or on the top right, and then new lectures. The last piece worth noting is the fact that if you hover over any of these small menus, the dot menus, you can move whole sections around like this, or you can rearrange within a section, which I find really helpful not only during the planning phase, but also as your course evolves. You may just realize that you need to reorder something. So I think that's a really nice feature to know about. A few final customizations. You can head over to design templates. There are really just a few options here. And we use the colossal template, which I do like, but you do also have what's called the simple template. Again, not a ton of features or options, I should say here. This just slightly changes the way that the landing page of the course looks. So if you prefer simple, you could click activate and see how this looks, but this is a minor decision. There are, of course, other features. I think the last one I want to call out is called drip. This is not a free feature, nor honestly is it a feature that I personally use, but some course creators want the ability to unlock certain curriculum week after week. And if a student joins today versus in 2 months, they want the opportunity for each student to unlock curriculum 1 week at a time. The reason why I don't do that is because I don't want to block momentum. I want students to be able to work at their own pace. But if this feature is important to you, you can upgrade to the basic plan or higher, and this would automatically unlock sections of curriculum 1 at a time. And you could even have an email as well to alert students of their new curriculum. You'll also notice there is a comments tab. So let's talk about how to enable comments in your Teachable lessons. If you click here, we won't see anything yet because this is all of the comments that are within individual lessons aggregated in one place. But in order to collect comments, you first have to enable them. So in curriculum, if I go into an individual lesson, like the bridge theory, you could toggle comments on. So once this is on, if I preview it in a new window, you can now see at the bottom the opportunity for your students to post comments, and you could use this to have them ask you questions, to submit assignments. You could even use it to collect testimonials. There are a ton of ways you could use these. And my quick tip is that I don't typically like to enable these in all lessons. I often find it more helpful to enable them in specific lessons where it's meaningful and where I might even include a prompt to guide students on what to say. Or you could just ask them for any general questions, but it's completely up to you. You can always toggle it off right here. And I believe in the settings, there is a school-wide setting if you wanted comments enabled on all lectures, but by default, it is off, which is my preference, and you can enable them one lesson at a time. You can click this pencil icon if you wanted to rename a lesson at any time as well. And here we are back in the curriculum tab. As one more bonus feature, you may have noticed order bumps here on the side. An order bump is a small square. It would look just like this, and it would include this box on your checkout page, and it gives your buyers the opportunity to check a box that says, yes, I want this, and add an additional product to purchase. It's usually a best ever deal, and it can increase what is called your average order value. This term right here. Average order value is the average price that one buyer pays. And if you have a $100 course with a $20 order bump, you can see how that would increase the average order value per customer of this purchase. It's not something that you might want to implement right away, but it is a great feature worth knowing about within Teachable. Now to recap, I'm going to backtrack. So we have courses here. Here's the course that we created, and you could click this course anytime. You can edit the basic information, and I'm actually going to click Publish Course, and you'll notice that we have 3 unpublished lectures. Do I want to publish them? And I'm going to click No, because maybe those are lessons that I am still working on. They are not ready for students, but I really like this notification because often course creators forget to publish any of their lectures. So you can double check and see what's right for you and click Publish Course. Now this course is fully published, which means that the sales page in the course would be visible within your school to anybody who navigates to the course. And just to show you a preview, I'm going to go back to the Site tab, and I'm going to go into Pages, and we are going to view the homepage. Here, you'll notice my school isn't published right now. And you may recall at the very beginning of this tutorial, I said that you would need to publish your school before other users could access it. So even though we've published the course, we still need to publish the school, and here's how you can do it. Back in the admin panel, we need to go into the settings of the school. We're on the General tab. It's the first one. And on the right, there is a green button that says Publish School. And I'm going to go ahead and click Publish, which makes it accessible to visitors and students. And this is required before you can enroll any students in your Teachable school. So now when I go back and I click Refresh, we can see we didn't edit the text here, but here's the home page that we worked on. We didn't set the button to do anything, so I think it'll just open up the sign up page. So remember, we didn't customize any of this. But you'll also notice under the Site tab, under Pages, we could now head over to Product Pages because we do have a course. So you can edit these sales pages from here and the checkout page and the thank you page, or kind of confusingly, they're also under the Courses tab under an individual course. And I would say that I am more used to going to the course itself and finding the sales page, checkout page, and thank you page here, but it's completely up to you. So if I were to preview, now I can copy the URL and we could paste this and see what the checkout page would look like. So remember, we didn't add testimonials or the bullets along the right, but this is where they would go, and people would be able to enroll in your course and click Buy Now. And after they enroll, they would land on this page. So they would go from the checkout page to the enrolled curriculum. Then once they are in the course, they'll be able to click Start Lesson. That will take them directly into the first lesson. They can click through, they can complete and continue, and move through the entire course experience. If I clicked back a few times, I would end up eventually in my own course dashboard. So just to tell you what a student would see, after your student logs back in anytime, they'll be taken here to what I call the course hub, but is I think called the courses page. And this is the thumbnail that we saw before. The only reason why it has a price is because I have not purchased this course. But if I were an enrolled student, it would show the percentage of how much of the course I have completed, and they could come back in here and go through it. Because I'm not enrolled, instead I see the sales page. So hopefully this is starting to get you a little bit oriented, but I really think the best way is to get right in there and create yourself. And remember, you can create your own free account by going to witandwire.com/teachable. If you found any of these tips helpful, I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up. And when you're ready to get started, you can visit witandwire.com/teachable to create your own free account. If you're looking for more of my favorite recommendations for online course creators, you can download my free online course toolkit, which has my favorite platforms, equipment, and recommendations for course creators at any budget. And you can grab that for free at witandwire.com/course toolkit. Since you're here, here's another video I think you'll enjoy.